So did you get your person?
Yes, we did it.
Awesome.
Well
When I graduated from high school, my class had 900.
2019. School board members, Dr. Enfield, and all of our esteemed guests to the 2019 commencement ceremony. It is my pleasure to welcome Ivy, Irene, and Eileen Wynn to sing the Star Spangled Banner.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Thank you, Ivy, Eileen, and Ivy. That was simply beautiful. To start off our program this evening, I'd like to welcome School Board Member Joe Fan to say a few words.
Good evening, School Board President Dorsey, Superintendent Dr. Enschel, Principal Tipton, esteemed guests, and class of 2019. Seniors, this has been a very long journey for you. From diapers to diploma, every step along the way you've had support from your family, friends, mentors, and staff. This is just the beginning. Another step along the way of the path for the rest of your life. We are people of purpose. We aren't created to sit around and wait. We're called to engage in the world, create culture, to be productive in our family, and serve the needs of those around us. From here, many of you are going to technical training, the military, into the workforce, and or college. Whatever path you take, I'd like to share a few simple things that you should remember. Practice self-awareness. Before you can release your true self, you have to recognize your true self. Too many people refuse to accept and even name their weaknesses, their struggles, and their pitfalls. As a result, they accept the version of themselves they believe others will like better. Understand who you really are. Next, learn to laugh at yourself. Don't take yourself too seriously. Instead, grow comfortable enough to be able to laugh at yourself. When you're able to accept that, and even chuckle at your mess-ups, others will too, and that's okay. That's what makes you human. Next, build a support network. Be aware of the temptation to surround yourself with flatterers who only tell you what you want to hear. Keep honest people in your life that can help you stay grounded. Next, own your own happiness. Be responsible for bringing joy into your own heart. Don't rely on anyone else. Do the things that you want to do or have wanted to do, unless your parents tell you otherwise. You will realize that life comes much faster after high school. You know what? Look for the good in people. Kindness will never go out of style. And challenge your own story. You wrote the script. If you don't like the way it's going, then change it. Don't beat yourself up if something doesn't go right. Change your path and make it happen. Throughout the years here at Lakeside Aviation, you've had added to your book of life. There have been chapters that have been written, some suspenseful, a lot of action, but remember, you are the author of your own story. You can change it at whatever point you want. Don't settle for the status quo. Challenge yourself. Some things aren't going to work out, some are. No matter what, your story may change a bit, but there are still chapters that need to be written. You've worked really hard to get to this point, now it's time to celebrate. Congratulations, class of 2019.
Thank you so much, Joe. Before we move on, I wanted to let those standing, there are a few seats right down here in front, and then over on your right, my left, there's a group of seats down here so that you don't have to stand. There's also some down here on the aisle and up here, so please feel free to grab one of the empty seats. Next up, it is my honor to welcome the two student speakers for the class of 2019, Paul Richards and Caroline Tran.
Good evening, everyone. It is truly an honor to speak in front of you all tonight. And it is a greater honor to be a part of this celebration with our RHS class of 2019. We would like to thank our parents, whose love and support have been instrumental in our journey. Your wisdom has shaped us, as over the last 18 years, we have learned about our world through you.
You taught us to be humble in times of success and resolute in times of failure, to face change and explore the unknown, to pursue lasting joy over worldly success. There have definitely been times when we all complained about how you, our parents, never understood what we were going through. But in reality, you are the people who did everything in your power so we would never have to face the struggles you once endured. From staying up all night to watch our fevers when we were babies, to quietly but supportively watching over us as we discovered our true selves, you did it all. To all the moms, dads, families, and friends, you all were the supporting hands who carried us this far in life. And for that, we'll spend the rest of our lives thanking you. Thank you to our teachers, the ones who made us feel safe to explore, to investigate the many mysteries of our existence. When we most needed you in the heat of college applications, internal conflicts, and just life, you were there. You rekindled our direction and inspired us to persevere. Even if it was only a tight, silent hug as we sobbed on our final walk down the stairs of RAHS, or a dozen roses with lengthy notes from the rose ceremony, know that these are our most sincere thank yous from the very, very bottom of our hearts.
Each of you has revolutionized our understanding of the world we live in. From pushing us to chase our curiosity to questioning our own significance in this world, you have completely transformed our ways of thinking, opening our minds to be aware, creative, and visionary. Okay.
Sorry. To our peers, thank you for choosing us to speak tonight, for being our close friends, compatriots, and fellow travelers on the winding path to adulthood.
Thank you for the procrastinated group projects, late night video calls, and hastily compiled presentations.
Thank you for sharing the frantic cramming before a calculus test, and the disillusion following one.
Thank you for the 60-mile-per-hour trips to Starbucks, the tea and the mission-style teriyaki for the free fortune cookies.
Thank you for the honest feedback on application essays, the vigorous edits made seconds before the deadline, and the support in applying to college, and grappling with their idea of a suddenly booming future.
Thank you for being the person who sprinted to the bathroom whenever we broke down, the person who risked the target to give us the pep talk we needed, and the person who quietly, but genuinely, had our backs to it.
Thank you for all of the laughter, the tears, the joy, and the grief you have shared with us these past 4 years. Thank you for grounding us, reminding us of our worth, and showing us the many dimensions of human life.
Thank you to each and every one of you for the hallway smiles, the shoulders to cry on, the existential discussions, and the ludicrous debates. I hope you know how profoundly each of you have changed our lives.
All right, thank you aside. There is one question Paul and I both want to ask you. Have you ever been told that our generation, every single person on this stage, is responsible for fixing the myriad problems of the past? That you must not only lead a happy and fulfilling life, but also fix the many problems plaguing the world before it's too late?
We find ourselves, as a generation, uniquely placed at a point in history where we are aware of the problems of the past and recognize that we need to fix them, but have not yet made the significant progress necessary to create a sustainable and healthy future. All around us, in our communities, schools, and workplaces, we see the beginnings of things, the movement towards a healthier world, yet know and have often been told that much more is necessary. And this can be daunting, inheriting the issues of the past and being told by others that your generation must resolve them, can feel more than a little disheartening. Among a sea of challenges, climate change, domestic abuse, human trafficking, racism, famine, drought, slavery, poverty, epidemic disease, the list goes on. Among the sea of challenges, the shore, a better future, cannot be out of reach.
And the hard part is we don't know. We don't know what the future holds. We can't say that we know for certain whether any of our attempts to solve them will be enough. The pressure is definitely overwhelming. And it's so easy to feel that your contribution as an individual in the face of such challenges is meaningless. It's so easy to lose sight of the shore.
Yet, as you are swimming out there, among peers, friends, family, teachers, coworkers, and the entire rest of the world, contemplating your Odyssean journey, please don't. Even though the immensity of our task may make you feel otherwise, you don't need to sacrifice all of yourself in the name of progress. Each of you in the crowd tonight is an immensely complex, intelligent, singular, and passionate individual. The way you see the world is the product of your unique personality and experience, both of which drive you in all you do. If there's anything I have learned while at high school, it is that each individual has something profoundly nuanced to contribute to the world. Many times, this nuance is lost, as we are afraid to shut out what is closest to us, most defines our character and joy. But you see, these are the things that change the world. These are the things that inspire, transform, and revolutionize when openly shared. Our most beloved abilities, beliefs, and experiences are the strongest that each of us has. So why not use them as our palette towards a better tomorrow?
Why not share with others the things you love, and in doing so be the first ripple in a wave of change? The question is no longer what you can do to contribute to a better future, but what are the tools, the passions you can use to get to that better future?
Is it the hours you spend programming astronomy calculations, robot functions, and computer games for others to explore and enjoy?
Is it the grit you put into training for rock climbing, the victorious feeling of finally reaching the top?
Is it the pride of witnessing the siblings, cousins, and students you tutor finally being able to solve a math problem all by themselves?
Is it the joy in mastering the art of mechanics, seeing the trinkets and machines you pour your heart into finally work?
Is it the thrill in holding a complete conversation for the very first time in a language you've been dying to learn?
Is it the peace of mind you find during 2 hours of practicing a new instrument, singing a new song, writing new lyrics?
Is it the words you've engraved on paper and the voice you use to deliver your fierce and impassioned beliefs?
For me, it's teaching Vietnamese, reuniting my students with their families in a language that both could understand. I love it when my students come up to me and tell me, oh my gosh, I got to speak with my grandma over the phone yesterday, and she knew exactly what I was saying. I knew exactly what she was saying, and it was all in Vietnamese. It shows how a little passion and love can really go far.
And for me, it's using language to connect in new ways and new places, to learn about it. And it's important to pursue their dreams as best.
The little things, the tiny little things that you might not always notice, the things you naturally are drawn towards. They may appear small in your eyes, are significantly more impressive in the eyes of others. By sharing yourself to your school, your community, and the world beyond, your influence, your lasting impact, it is heightened to a far more superior magnitude. Whether your action is as small as a pebble or as big as a boulder, it is still an action that impacts the people around you. It doesn't have to cause a wave to be influential. A ripple still has an effect.
On this stage are videographers, photographers, and artists who bring perspective from a different lens of life, bringing light to the hidden, the overlooked.
On the stage are state and national qualified debaters and speakers who will one day be the defenders and voice for the muted, marginalized communities.
On this stage are people dedicated to serving their country, to protecting the voice, expression, and pursuit of happiness integral to its philosophy.
On the stage are illustrators, painters, and sculptors who will confront the pressing issues of our time with their creative eye.
On this stage are curious thinkers who will be tomorrow's scientists, inventors, and researchers, whose technology will provide equal access to resources, education, and opportunity.
On the stage is the tenacious and slightly peculiar class of 2019.
All of us stand as a juncture between our past and our future. And while that has always been true, this juncture is special. Most of us are shooting off in new directions, redefining ourselves, exposing ourselves to new places, ways of thinking, cultures, and ideas. Each of us stands on the cusp of immense personal change, stands at a point where our future waits to be molded by our hands. So, as you're molding that, be strong. Offer to our imperfectly perfect world your most genuine passions and earnest love. Though our journey may be great, so too are our mistakes. Together, united in destiny and shared humanity, we will be the ones to reach that goal. We have.
Thank you and congratulations to the class of 2019.
Inspirational. Next up, I'd like to welcome to present the Phoenix Journey, our wonderful English language arts instructor, Mr. Wayne Stork.
On April 3rd, 2016, on April 3rd, on April 3rd, 2016, the day after my joyous wedding, minutes after my wife and I arrived home in Seattle, I was informed that my grandpa had died on his way home to Canada. He was my greatest hero. Everything good I am because of him. So the greatest gift I can give back to the class of 2019 are the 7 most important lessons I learned from my grandpa. Lesson number 1, listen closely. Grandpa was the best listener I have ever known. When he was in the conversation, you, the person he was talking to, were the only thing he was paying any mind. To me, his ability to listen reflected his kindness and his care. He was certainly caring. What I didn't recognize at the time was that for Grandpa, listening was learning. We all make our attempts to learn from the world around us. We read novels, watch films, listen to music, study philosophy, travel, all to learn more about what it means to be human. Grandpa listened. He listened patiently to the people around him. He wanted to learn, and he recognized that the people he cared about offered as much wisdom as the most profound thoughts of the greatest thinkers. Had I known this when I met you, I would have listened. Lesson number 2, show how much you care. I appreciated Grandpa's ability to listen. I didn't understand. It wasn't until he passed that I realized Grandpa's listening had something to do with the difference between caring and showing compassion. It was evident in the way that Grandpa dealt with me. Growing up, I was rarely easy to deal with, and even more rarely easy to understand. But Grandpa never stopped trying to figure me out. Even when I was giving him short, curt responses to his inquiries, he continued to patiently ask me about me, my life, my dreams, my cares, my accomplishments. Would I have known how much he cared if he had never actually shown me with his patient listening? Did you know how much I cared when I didn't show you by obvious acts of compassion or attempts at understanding? Lesson number 3, take time to self-reflect. Finding what we want in this universe, becoming who we are supposed to be, requires that we self-reflect, that we learn from the lessons that life puts in front of us. And as we continue to consciously think about who we are and what we believe, as we strive to connect ourselves and who and what we want to become, the path to happiness starts to come into focus. It gains clarity. We start to see that we can make choices about how we live and where we end up. In other words, it is essential that we reflect upon what we learned. For Grandpa, it was important to find time to sit and think about the things that he had learned from his steadfast listening. He knew that living his best life meant self-reflecting. You have devoted moments over these past 4 years reflecting about yourselves, your practices, your goals. Never forget to set aside time for this. It is a key to your personal growth and self-improvement. Lesson number 4, live and act intentionally. Grandpa broke his back for the first time in his mid-60s. The prognosis was he would never walk again. To absolutely no surprise to us, his family, he was walking within months. Even more spinal injuries over the next 2 decades didn't slow him down. He always found a way to do the things he wanted to do. I think he taught me most about how to live fully over the last few years of his life. As it got more difficult for him to get around, his determination to enjoy every moment on this planet shined through ever more brightly. Grandpa loved working outside in the yard and the garden, but he had to use a walker to get around. Easily solved. He bought a light aluminum wheelbarrow. He welded a metal rod to the wheelbarrow, and he attached the rod to his walker. He could move around the garden and the yards with his wheelbarrow full of tools. The last several times I went up to visit Grandpa, we would work outside in the yard, picking pears, clipping brush, planting garlic bulbs. And he would make these comments about doing, and that when he stopped doing, he might as well stop living. It took me a while to get it, but when I did, it was profound. Grandpa was always engaged 100% in the present moment. When he worked on a car, his attention was completely with that car. When he puttered around in the yard, he was fully involved in that process. He had this ability to live in the moment, fully and absolutely. He was never in a hurry to just get a job done. He was interested in doing the job the right way, enjoying the process, and taking pride in the results. I realize now that this was his secret. There is never a tedious task as long as you approach everything you do with care and positive intent. Since I met you all, class of 2019, one of the things that has amazed me the most is your ability to deliberately accomplish the tasks that you set for yourself. Now, find the places in your life where you are not entirely engaged. Be intentional in everything you do. Lesson number 5, never say you can't. Grandpa had a favorite saying, can't die in the cornfield. It sums up beautifully his philosophy on how to live and how to handle adversity. If you've ever walked deep into a cornfield where the stalks are taller than your head, it's easy to feel claustrophobic and panic, lost in a sea of dark green and overwhelmed by circumstances. The corn is planted in neat rows. So as long as you stay calm and follow a road, you will eventually find your way out of the cornfield. If you give up too easily and sit down, waiting for someone to rescue you, then you might wait for a very long time in the middle of that field, and the solution may never come. But if you make an effort, you're bound to find the way out yourself. In this way, you remind me of Grandpa. You find ways to overcome obstacles and not let self-doubt be a roadblock. You don't believe you can. Lesson number 6, be grateful. Grandpa was always grateful to be alive. He didn't take anything for granted. I understood that everything in our lives is fleeting and that we are best served simply enjoying them, especially the people. On his last night alive, at my wedding, for the first time in decades, he had his entire family in the same room. He beamed, and he glowed, and he was the last person to leave. Even while we were cleaning up the hall, loading up the sound system equipment, packing up the gifts, he sat and watched and smiled. He was proud, yes. More than that, he was grateful. Just like I stand here today, grateful that I've had the privilege of knowing you. Grateful that you have welcomed me on your journey of growth and reflection. Grateful that you have had the space in your hearts for me and recognize that we are all imperfect human beings, just trying to do our best to improve every day. And on that note, I come to the last important lesson for my grandpa that I want to share. Lesson number 7, make amends. My grandpa always took responsibility for what he did. In the weeks leading up to my wedding, inspired to gather the family together, Grandpa urged me to add a family dinner to the wedding week. I explained that A, there wasn't any unplanned time remaining that weekend, and B, I just couldn't possibly plan yet another event on my wedding weekend. There was a hint of irritation in my voice. I was a little impatient with him. He called me the next day. He felt bad for stressing me out. My last long phone conversation with my grandpa was him calling to apologize to me. It was sweet and totally unnecessary and totally grandpa. He didn't leave things undone. He was always accountable. So with grandpa as my model, I want to finish by apologizing to the class of 2019. I'm sorry for any and all assumptions that I made about you when we walked in the doors fall of 2015. I'm sorry that I didn't know how to show you how much I cared and just assumed that you knew. I'm sorry for the sarcasm. I'm sorry for not listening as much as I should have. I'm sorry for always taking the hard line. I'm sorry for being prickly when I should have been warm. And I'm sorry that it took this long to say I'm sorry. Thank you.
So Caroline mentioned the word tenacity in her speech, and she called you a tenacious bunch, and I would have to agree. In my mind, I imagine so many examples of our graduate spirited tenacity of persisting until the job is done. Tenacity is the quality of being determined, and you here this evening, you are here because of your persistence and because of your determination through 4 tough years to arrive at this moment in time. A time you will always remember because of the work that you put in to get here. We just heard from Mr. Storr, and all of you graduates here have had the opportunity to have Mr. Storr as a teacher at one time during your years. When I was thinking back on the influence he has had on you through his deep teaching of literature, I'm reminded of your engagement with the text of To Kill a Mockingbird. Harper Lee wrote that real courage is when you know your lips before you even begin, but you begin anyway and see it through no matter what. When you arrived at the doorsteps of RAHS 4 years ago, you didn't know what to expect. You knew it would be difficult, yet you began and you persisted. And with the help of Mr. Storr and of all of our teachers, you saw this journey through. Firmness of purpose, indefatigability, resoluteness, these are just a couple of synonyms for tenacity, and you displayed them from the get-go. Starting your freshman year, your first test of determination came during the infamous Heat Shield project, and your introduction to Mr. McComb's multiple iterations of saving a chocolate bunny from burning up during reentry. Despite failure, you kept trying, quickly adapting a stick-to-itiveness, and yes, that is a synonym for tenacity, that set the foundation for your high school experience. Following the lead of those who came before you, you attacked the Environmental Challenge Project next during your sophomore year with a strength of purpose, resolution, diligence, and resolve in order to present to the Port of Seattle a solution to a real-life scenario. With Mr. Haney's guidance, you demonstrated the doggedness and staying power of a true phoenix. Thomas Edison had tenacity. He said that many of life's failures are people who did not realize how close they were to success, and they gave up. Fortunately, you did not give up. By the time junior and senior years rolled around, you could envision the finish line. You still had a long way to go. You tackled advanced placement classes, state assessments, internships, and projects the way you had done during 9th and 10th grade, with purposefulness, staunchness, stubbornness, and a bulldog spirit. As a school, we faced large and small obstacles. Just during this past year, we had 5 snow days, windstorms, a B-52 in our backyard, and sadly, the passing of our dear friend and benefactor, Peter Anderson. Some of you faced very personal challenges over the last 4 years, yet still you persisted. You were steadfast, patient, purposeful, and tenacious. But fortunately, we have a lot to smile about. Most of you will be going on to 2- and 4-year colleges and universities, the military, and traveling. You brought home a world title in the International Space Station Design competition and will travel to Dallas with a fully powered solar car in July. You are funny, creative, talented, and kind. You earned well over $3 million in scholarships, earned the rank of the 3rd best high school in the state of Washington, and you are the leaders of our future. I think it is safe to say we are in steadfast, determined, implacable, and tenacious hands with the class of 2019. So now it is on to the next phase of your lives to continue with the grit and tenacity that you started here. Dalai Lama said it best: no matter what is going on, never give up. Develop the heart, be compassionate, not just to your friends, but to everyone. Work for peace in your heart and in the world. Never give up, and I say again, never give up, no matter what is going on around you. Never give up. Very wise words. So thank you, class of 2019, for being tenacious, for never giving up, and for being an absolutely amazing group of young adults. Congratulations. The class of 2019. And following that is our superintendent, Dr. Susan Enfield.
Thank you, Principal Tipton. On behalf of the Board of Directors for Highline Public Schools and with the authority vested us by the state of Washington, it is my great joy and honor to accept the Racebeck Aviation High School class of 2019. Congratulations, graduates!
All right, give us 1 second. Second, it is time to confer the diplomas on class of 2019. Ready to break out?
Kenny Pham.
Abdurrahman Asmi. Caroline Songnu Tran. Heidi Johanna Greta Yagan. Christina Chen. Chanel Anna Lynn. Micah Larson. Thomas Logan Morrell. Ruby Wharton. Carol Sullivan Bourget. Matthew Jackson Lauren. Zachary William Slee. Ivy Chung Win. Michael Hoover Stupel. Cass Fields. Helen Olivares. Caitlin Ferris. Katie Taylor. Isabella White. Riley Stoneson. Annalena Belknap. Mitchell James Turner. Paul Vincent Richards. Odine Mungram. Mia Caitlin Blankenship. Tracy Alexandra Murray. Elise Harding. Chelsea Poe. Jenny Manning. Tien Hanglu Ta.
Stephanie Velasco.
Evan Frischel.
Peyton Patrick Adams.
David Matthew Hadley.
Oliver Michael Ho Yen Lo.
Anna Marie Horner.
Brandon Emmanuel Aguilar Berlin.
Olivia Charlene Gibson.
Najma Duran Hashi.
Erin Gabrielle Miguel.
Nathan Noah Tresham.
Ian Henry Feehan.
Mateo G. Pena.
George Silos.
Charles Phil Skinner.
Cooper Jackson Lacombe.
Nathan Tanella.
Damian Leon Eiler.
Declan R. O'Farrell.
Jimmy Sundy.
Sydney Dot Brisnick.
Karen Kathleen Lasky.
Ellen Leela Applewhite.
Brendan Adamite Moore.
Braden Ray Swanson.
Chase Thomas King.
Brian Fong.
Logan Lemieux.
Kayla Hong.
Evan Charles Grilly.
Siobhan Gunther.
Troy Layton.
Thomas Connolly.
Nick L. Friend.
Robert Jenner.
Harmeet Singh Pavla.
Dolan Park.
Calvin Quinn.
Jack L. Doty.
Lara O'Callahan.
Thomas Waite.
Reynolds Kennedy.
David Boone Nguyen.
Marcus Klein Hill.
Roosevelt Anderson.
Lilia W. Medhay.
Shirley Sherry Cox.
Erica Katie Hurd.
Xavier Auer.
John Regoswald Dulski.
Cooper J. Huck.
Grant Thomas Matthews.
Tucker Bolin.
Nicholas Wilson.
Forrest Lorano Dias Roseborough.
Ariana Eileen McDowell.
Melena Sophia Seidel.
Madeline Champlin.
Michael Loughran.
Michelle Nurjanov.
Natalia Lyon.
Felix Vasquez Harima.
Eric Joshua Peter Lotsfeld.
Zach Watson.
Noah Robert Chadwick Gottschalk.
Nathaniel Victor.
Samuel Satterley.
ASD exec, led by outgoing President Kenny Pham for the turning of the tassels. Our breakdowns will now move our graduates out. They will meet you out in the front. So guests, if you can remain seated until our graduates exit and enjoy a wonderful evening of celebration.